Hello everybody, this is Refresh, and I am here to bring you a battle between these 5 Core Set 2020 Planeswalker decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. We'll be playing with 3 hero cards, the first card being the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, and then discard a card. The second one being the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And then every player will have their own color-specific hero card. So black has the Tyrant. Exile the Tyrant. Creatures your opponents control gain -1/-1 until end of turn. Chandra has the Warmonger. It says creatures you control gain +2/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. Vivian has the Provider. It says exile the Provider. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Johnny has the General. It says exile the General. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. Yanling has the Savant. Exile the Savant. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. We'll be playing 2 games. The first game on normal difficulty with 3 turns before the Horde attacks, and then on hard mode with only 2 turns before the Horde attacks. Because this is multiplayer, we will all get a free mulligan, and we will all be sharing 120 life total. Because there are 5 players, the Horde will be casting 6 spells each turn. We'll start with 7 cards apiece. Soren draws a Swamp, Vampire of the Dire Moon, Swamp, Dark Remedy, Swamp, and Savage Gorger. This is not an ideal hand, however, I think it is an okay start since we have some plays early on. Chandra draws a Mountain, Wildfire Elemental, Mountain, Pyroclastic Elemental, Mountain, and Emberhauler. There's a 2-drop and a 4 and a 5 and some lands to cast them, so I think this is an okay start as well. Vivian draws a Greenwood Sentinel, Gnarlback Rhino, Might of the Masses, Vivian's Crocodile, Rabid Bite, Titanic Growth, and Gnarlback Rhino. There are no lands, so we can't keep this hand. Vivian's second hand has a Greenwood Sentinel, Forest, Barkhide Troll, Forest, Season of Growth, and Aggressive Mammoth. I think this is a fine keep, so we will keep it. Johnny draws a Dawning Angel, Plains, Angel of Vitality, Twin Blade Paladin, Goldmane Griffin, and Fencing Ace. This is a little short on lands, but I am hoping that we should be able to get to the lands by looting, so we'll go ahead and keep this as well. Yanling draws a Waterkin Shaman, Island, Frostlink, Celestial Messenger, Island, Wingbirds, and Island. I think this is a fine first hand, so we will keep it. Because this is multiplayer, we'll all draw on the first turn. Soren draws a Swamp, Chandra draws a Mountain, Vivian draws a Titanic Rift, Johnny draws a Plains, Yanling draws an Island. Because I have only 1 copy of each of the hero cards, we're going to apply the Explorer and the Harvester to all of the players simultaneously. Soren starts with 2 swamps. We'll tap one of the swamps and cast Vampire of the Dire Moon. It is a 1/1 vampire with Death Touch and Lifelink. Chandra plays 2 mountains, taps both, and plays the Emberhauler. It is a 2/2 goblin, and for 1 mana you can sacrifice Emberhauler. It deals 2 damage to any target. Vivian plays 2 forests, taps them both, and plays a Barkhide Troll. It is a 2/2 troll. Barkhide Troll enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it. For 1, you can remove a +1/+1 counter from the Barkhide Troll. Barkhide Troll gains hexproof until end of turn. Johnny plays 2 plains, taps them both, and plays a Fencing Ace. It is a 1/1 human soldier with double strike. Yanling plays 2 islands, and will tap them both to play the Waterkin Shaman. It is a 2/1 elemental shaman. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, Waterkin Shaman gets +1/+1 until end of turn. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Each player will draw and then discard a card. Soren draws a Swamp and will discard the Swamp. Chandra draws a Pack Mastiff and will discard a Mountain. Vivian draws a Forest and will discard the Titanic Rift. Johnny draws a Plains and will discard the Dawning Angel. Yanling draws an Island and will discard the Frostlinks. We'll untap. We'll draw. Soren draws a Vampire of the Dire Moon. Chandra draws a Shock. Vivian draws a Silverback Shaman. Johnny draws a Daybreak Chaplain. Yanling draws an island. We'll start the turn. Soren will play both of the swamps, and we will tap everything to play a Vampire of the Dire Moon and a Savage Gorger. Savage Gorger is a 1/1 vampire with flying at the beginning of your end step. If an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Savage Gorger. Chandra will play both mountains, and then we'll tap everything, and then play a Wildfire Elemental. It is a 3/3 elemental. Whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Vivian will play both of the forests. We'll tap everything and play a Greenwood Sentinel. It is a 2/2 Elf Scout with Vigilance. And Season of Growth, it is an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. And whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, draw a card. We'll say that this came to the battlefield first, and then we will scry 1 off the Greenwood Sentinel. It is a forest, and we'll keep that on top because we do want more forests. Ajani will play both of the plains, and then we'll tap 4 and play the Twin Blade Paladin. It is a 3/3 creature, human knight. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Twin Blade Paladin. As long as you have 25 or more life, Twin Blade Paladin has double strike. Yanling will play both islands and then spend 4 mana and cast Celestial Messenger. It is a 3/2 bird spirit with flash and flying. Celestial Messenger gets +1/+1 as long as you control a Yanling Planeswalker. That will trigger the Water enchantment because it has flying, and that will become a 3/2 for this turn. We'll attack. Soren will attack with the Vampire of the Dire Moon. Chandra will attack with the Ember Hauler. Vivian will attack with the Barkhide Troll. Ajani will attack with the Fencing Ace. Yanling will attack with the Waterkin Shaman. That is for a total of 11 damage. We'll go ahead and apply that damage now. We discarded 1 Plundered Statue. The Hero's Reward says, when Plundered Statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Soren draws a Savage Gorger. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Forest. Ajani draws an Angel of Vitality. Yanling draws Yanling's Harbinger. At the end of our second turn, we'll use the Harvester. Soren will draw a Swamp and discard the Swamp. Chandra will draw an Infuriate and discard the Infuriate. Vivian will draw a Titanic Growth and will discard the Titanic Growth. Ajani will draw a Pacifism and will discard the Pacifism. Yanling will draw an Unsummon and will discard the Unsummon. We'll start turn 3 with untapping. We'll draw. Soren draws a Blood Burglar. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Forest. Ajani draws a Twin Blade Paladin. Yanling draws a Cloudkin Seer. Soren will play the Swamp. Chandra will play both mountains. And Chandra will play the Pyroclastic Elemental. Chandra will exile the Warmonger to give all of her creatures +2/+0 and haste, making the Pyroclastic Elemental a 7/4, the Wildfire Elemental a 5/3, and the Ember Hauler a 4/2. Vivian will play both forests. Yanling will play both islands, and Yanling will spend 5 mana to cast Yanling's Harbinger. It is a 2/4 bird with flying. When Yanling's Harbinger enters the battlefield, find Yanling in the deck or the graveyard. There's Yanling. We'll put her into our hand. We'll shuffle. And that causes the Waterkin Shaman to become a 3/2 this turn. We'll attack. Soren will attack with everybody. Also, the life gain from the Vampire of the Dire Moon caused us all to gain 1 life to go to 21 last turn. Chandra will attack with everybody. Vivian will attack with everybody. Ajani will attack with everybody. Yanling will attack with everybody. That is for a total of 36 damage. We mill an Altar of Mogus. When Altar of Mogus is put into the graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs sacrificed. We mill Refreshing Elixir. When Refreshing Elixir is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. There are 5 players here, so we'll gain 25 life to go up to 46. This triggers the life gain on the Twin Blade Paladins, giving it a +1/+1 counter, and now it has double strike. We also gain 2 more instances of life from the 2 Vampires of Dire Moon, so we'll gain 2 more life to go up to 38. This triggers the Twin Blade Paladin twice, giving it 2 more counters, making it a 6/6 with double strike. The Horde mills the Massacre Totem, which says when Massacre Totem is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library in its graveyard. The Horde mills the Vitality Salve. When Vitality Salve is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Sorin has no creatures in the graveyard. Chandra has no creatures in the graveyard. But in response to that trigger, Chandra will spend 1 mana and sacrifice the Ember Hauler to do 2 more damage to the Horde, and then it'll be in the graveyard and will return from the graveyard to the battlefield. The Horde mills 2 more. Vivian has no creatures in the graveyard. Ajani returns the Dawning Angel to the battlefield, and it is a 3/2 angel with flying, and when Dawning Angel enters the battlefield, you will gain 4 life. Put another counter on the Twin Blade Paladins because of that. We gain 4 life, going up to 52. Yanling has no creatures in the graveyard. We also get a Plundered Statue, milled. We'll each draw a card. Sorin draws a Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Greenwood Sentinel. Ajani draws a Plains. Yanling draws an Island. We have another Refreshing Elixir here, so we'll gain another 25 life. That'll take us to 77 life. That'll put another counter on the Twin Blade Paladin, making it an 8/8 with Double Strike. On the second main phase, with the Horde having taken such serious damage, I don't anticipate much left for them to do. So we'll just play out some creatures and watch the rest of their creatures run into ours. Sorin will play a Blood Burglar. It is a 2/2 Vampire Rogue, and as long as it's your turn, Blood Burglar has lifelink. And a Bloodthirsty Aerialist, a 2/3 Vampire Rogue with flying, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Vivian will spend 6 mana and play an aggressive Mammoth. She'll scry 1 off the Season of Growth. It's a forest, we'll put that on the bottom. Ajani will play a Plains. We'll tap all 5 mana here and play an Angel of Vitality. It is a 2/2 Angel with flying. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead, and Angel of Vitality gets +2/+2 as long as you have 25 or more life, so it's actually a 4/4. We'll also play the Daybreak Chaplain, which is a 1/3 Human Cleric with lifelink. Then we'll pass to the Horde. They'll cast the top 6 cards. We have a Minotaur Younghorn. It is a 2/2 Minotaur with haste, and Minotaur Younghorn attacks each turn if able. A Minotaur Younghorn, same thing. A Minotaur Younghorn, same thing. And Descend Upon the Prey. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains first strike until end of turn and must be blocked this turn if able. So they all have first strike and must be blocked this turn. These will attack. Sorin will exile the Tyrant to give them all -1/-1. Now they're all 1/1s. We'll block one of them with the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. We'll block one of them with the Ember Hauler. And we'll block one of them with the aggressive Mammoth. All the Minotaurs die. And the Corset 2020 Planeswalker decks defeat the Horde pretty soundly, actually. We'll be right back for hard mode. We are back for round 2. This time we will only have 2 turns before the Horde attacks. We'll draw 7 cards apiece. Sorin draws a Swamp, a Bloodthirsty Aerialist, Savage Gorger, Sorin's Thirst, Swamp, Blood Burglar, and Sorin Vampire Lord. I do wish we had more lands here, but I think we can start with this hand. Chandra draws a Chandra Spitfire, Mountain, Mountain, Scorch Spitter, Infuriate, Mountain, and Shock. This is not great, but we do have a couple plays, so we will keep it. Vivian draws a Season of Growth, Ethereal Elk, Forest, 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 Titanic Growth, and Forest. It's not ideal, but hopefully we can loot into something better. Ajani draws a Plains, Daybreak Captain, Twin Blade Paladin, Angel of Vitality, Ajani Inspiring Leader, Plains, and Plains. I think this is an okay first hand, we'll keep it. Yanling draws an Island, a Cloud Conceer, an Island, an Unsummon, an Island, and a Brineborn Cutthroat. I think this is a fine first hand. First turn, we'll play 2 Swamps, tap them both, and then Sorin will play a Blood Burglar. Chandra will play 2 Mountains, tap one of them, and play a Scorch Spitter. It is a 1/1 Elemental Lizard. Whenever a Scorch Spitter attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or Planeswalker it's attacking. Vivian plays 2 Force, taps them, and then plays a Season of Growth. Ajani plays 2 Plains, taps them, and plays a Daybreak Chaplain. Yanling plays 2 Islands, taps them, and plays a Brineborn Cutthroat. It is a 2/1 Merfolk Pirate with Flash. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Soren will draw a Vampire of the Dire Moon and will discard Soren Vampire Lord. Chandra will draw an Infuriate and we will discard an Infuriate. Vivian will draw a Silverback Shaman and we will discard the Silverback Shaman. Ajani will draw a Dawning Angel and we will discard Ajani Inspiring Leader. Yunling will draw a Celestial Messenger and we will discard Unsummon. We'll untap. Turn 2, this is the turn before the Horde attacks. We'll draw. Soren draws a Murder. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Might of the Masses. Ajani draws a Plains. Yunling draws Mu Yunling Celestial Wind. Chandra will play 2 Mountains and will spend 3 mana to cast Chandra Spitfire. It is a 1/3 elemental with flying. Whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, Chandra Spitfire gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Vivian will play both forests and has nothing to cast. Ajani plays both plains, will tap them all and cast a Twin Blade Paladin. Yunling will play both islands. We'll go to attacks. Soren will attack with the Blood Burglar. Chandra will attack with the Scorch Bitter. It will deal 1 damage. Yunling will attack with the Brineborn Cutthroat. The Scorch Spitter deals 1 damage before the combat damage is dealt. That is 1 Massacre Totem. We'll mill 7 cards. We mill the Refreshing Elixir. We'll gain 5 life per player. That is a total of 25 life, taking us all the way up to 35. Taking us all the way up to 45. We also have a Plundered Statue, so each player will draw a card. Soren draws a Vampire of the Dire Moon. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Gnarlback Rhino. Ajani draws a Plains. The Twin Blade Paladin also triggers, getting a +1/+1 counter. Yunling draws a Winged Words. And then we'll do 5 additional damage from combat. The Altar of Mogus triggers, but there are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. The Blood Burglar gains the Planeswalker Dex 2 more life to go up to 47. This triggers the Twin Blade Paladin, making it a 5/5 double striker. Soren will play both of the Vampires of the Dire Moon. Vivian will spend 4 mana and cast Gnarlback Rhino. It is a 4/4 Rhino with trample. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Gnarlback Rhino, draw a card. We'll pass the turn to the Horde. They'll cast the top 6 cards. They cast a Minotaur Goreseeker. It's a 3/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. A Phobos Reaver. It's a 2/3 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. Intervention of Karanos. At the beginning of combat this turn, Intervention of Karanos deals 3 damage to each creature. A Minotaur Younghorn. It's a 2/2 and attacks each turn if able. A Reckless Minotaur. It's a 4/1. It also attacks each turn if able, and at the beginning of the end step, destroy it. And another Minotaur Younghorn. Before the intervention of Karanos triggers, Chandra will tap a mountain and cast Infuriate, targeting the Chandra Spitfire, giving it +3/+2, making it a 4/5 until end of turn. Takes effect, dealing 3 damage to each creature. That will kill all of the Minotaurs. It will kill all of Soren's creatures. It kills the Scorch Spitter. It kills the Daybreak Chaplain. It kills the Brineborn Cutthroat. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Soren draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Savage Forger. Chandra draws a Pyroclastic Elemental. We'll discard the Shock. Vivian draws a Rabid Bite. We'll discard Might of the Masses. Ajani draws a Goldmane Griffin. We'll discard Dawning Angel. Yunling draws an Island. We'll discard Mu Yunling Celestial Wind. And then during this end of turn phase, we'll tap all 4 islands and play the Celestial Messenger because it has Flash. It is a 3/2 Flash Bird Spirit with flying, and Celestial Messenger gets +1/+1 as long as you control a Yunling Planeswalker. We'll untap. We'll draw. Soren draws a Swamp. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Forest. Ajani draws a Plains. Yunling draws an Island. Chandra will play both mountains. She'll tap 5 mana and cast the Pyroclastic Elemental. Then she'll exile the Warmonger, giving them +2/+0 and haste, making the Chandra Spitfire a 3/3 and the Pyroclastic Elemental a 7/4. Vivian will play a Forest. Ajani will play both plains. Yunling will play both islands. Yunling will spend 3 mana and play the Cloud Conceer. It is a 2/1 elemental wizard with flying, and when Cloud Conceer enters the battlefield, draw a card. We'll draw an island. We'll spend 2 more mana to cast Winged Words. It is a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a creature with flying. We do. Draw 2 cards. Soren will play both swamps. We'll tap 3 mana and cast the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Chandra will attack with the Spitfire and the Elemental. Vivian will attack with the Gnarlback Rhino, and then she will spend 2 mana and cast Titanic Growth on it, making it an 8/8. Because of its ability and Season of Growth's ability, Vivian will draw 2 more cards. She draws a Forest and an Ethereal Elk. Ajani will attack with the 5/5 Double Striker. Yanling will attack with the Celestial Messenger. That is a total of 31 damage. We get 1 Refreshing Elixir, so we will gain another 25 life to take us to 72. This triggers the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. It'll get a counter. This triggers the Twin Blade Paladin. It'll get a counter. There is a Vitality Salve. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. We will return the Blood Burglar to the battlefield over here. Chandra will return the Scorch Spitter. Vivian will return the Silverback Shaman, and we will scry off the Season of Growth. We will put the Rabid Bite on the bottom. We'll return the Dawning Angel over here. As it enters the battlefield, we'll gain 4 more life. This takes us to 76. This triggers the Bloodthirsty Aerialist, making it a 4/5. This triggers the Twin Blade Paladin, making it a 7/7 Double Striker. Yanling returns the Brineborn Cutthroat to the battlefield. Ajani will spend 3 mana and cast the Angel of Vitality. It is a 4/4 flyer for now. We'll go to the Horde's turn. They'll cast the top 6 cards. They cast a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Minotaur Goreseeker, Minotaur Younghorn, and Minotaur Younghorn. All of these attack. We'll block a Goreseeker with the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. We'll block a Goreseeker with the Silverback Shaman. We'll block a Goreseeker with the Angel of Vitality. We'll let the 3 Younghorns through for 6 damage, and all the Goreseekers die. Taking us to 70. We'll untap. Soren draws, gets a Swamp. Chandra draws a Mountain. Vivian draws a Growth Cycle. Ajani draws a Dawning Angel. Yanling draws an Island. Soren will play a Swamp. We'll spend 2 mana to Soren's Thirst, targeting a Minotaur Younghorn. That'll kill the Younghorn. And we will gain 2 life to go to 72. That will give the Bloodthirsty Aerialist a counter. We'll also spend 3 mana over here to murder the other Younghorn. The life gain will also give the Twin Blade Paladin a counter. Vivian will spend 2 mana to cast Rabid Bite, having the Gnarlback Rhino deal 4 damage to the last Younghorn. Because we target it, we will draw off the Gnarlback Rhino's ability as well as the Season of Growth's ability. Vivian draws a Forest and a Vivian Nature's Avenger. The Minotaur Younghorn dies. Chandra will attack with the Pyroclastic Elemental for 5. The Minotaur takes 5. And the Minotaur dies. We could draw that last card, but there's no need because the Planeswalker decks have handily defeated the Horde yet again. So it looks like the Horde falls pretty easily to other Hordes. Let me know what your thoughts were about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Next time, I'll be pitting these 5 decks up against the Defeat a God Challenge deck from Journey to Nyx. Until then, this was Refresh, and thanks for watching.